Well, I gotta say, for a movie called Jerry and Marge Go Large, it can often feel very small in scale. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about a newer Paramount Plus release, Jerry and Marge Go Large. Before we begin, let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it, or if you are planning on seeing it, and make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my content out there. And if you're new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with more movie-related content like more original Paramount Plus reviews on a near-daily basis. But let's not waste any more time and let's talk about Jerry and Marge Go Large. This stars Bryan Cranston and Annette as the title characters, who win the lottery and use the money to revive their small town. Based on a true story, this premiered on Paramount Plus in June, and it's directed by David Frankel, who most notably gave us The Devil Wears Prada, Marley and Me, and Hope Springs. And while I'm not a die-hard fan of him or anything, nor have I seen all of his movies, one thing I will have to commend them for with the films I've seen is that they play nicely into a very sweet, sentimental tone that's mostly meant to be a feel-good time. And I say mostly, as we don't talk about that Marley and Me ending. And this is no exception. While this is a very unambitious film, which is for better or worse, Jerry and Marge Go Large aims to, at the very least, put a smile on your face and give you a good time. It's not necessarily a film with the grandest of stakes, nor does it contain anything with earth-shattering consequences, like you're not going to feel deeply affected on this huge emotional level or anything, but instead it takes a very whimsical approach to celebrate these two people who have a newfound, unexpected purpose later in life that they can channel into something where they can help others. And it succeeds at least on some level. If nothing else, there is a sincerity to the film's breezy, sentimental tone, with a gentle approach by Frankel, as per usual. And Bryan Cranston and Annette are quite charming as our two title characters, with just lovely chemistry that makes you instantly want to root for them. And they're a big part of why this even works at all. Now, the way their story goes, they form an operation where they figure out that buying lottery tickets in bulk actually allows for multiple big wins. And while they rope in a number of townspeople to get in on this and split the winnings, their third major contributor is a gas station attendant played by Rainn Wilson, who provides one of the main hubs for them to buy said tickets. Wilson is primarily there to just add a lot of comedic relief, while also narrating. And while it doesn't quite feel he gets much to do otherwise, he's still a welcome presence. And for better or worse, the film mostly keeps things simple, safe, and straightforward, and depending on what you're looking for, that'll either be a good or bad thing. For me personally, I'll say it's a fairly good thing, but the film's still ultimately a mixed bag. Now, it can definitely be charming, as I've said, but it also keeps things at essentially one major energy level, so there are only so many huge emotional peaks. Plus, a lot of its humor, while amusing at times, can especially feel like it's playing into just generic comedy tropes, especially in the way it portrays Jerry as just this kooky old man and some of the other players as your typical eccentric friends and neighbors. And all that was a little hit and miss for me, and while it didn't always work, truthfully, this wasn't even the biggest deal for me. I'd say the absolute weakest aspect of this is the inclusion of some college students who separately catch on to the lottery loophole and eventually turn into these competitors when Jerry and Marge refuse to cooperate with them. Now, this doesn't negate what I said earlier that the film doesn't have these earth-shattering consequences or anything, because it's not like they threaten them or anything, or it turns into this huge blackmail movie or anything too out there. But this subplot still doesn't quite mesh with the rest of the story. Despite getting a considerable amount of screen time, the Harvard students just aren't well-developed characters and come off more as annoying than actually compelling antagonists. Plus, even if that were the case, I don't even think it was necessary to include them all together. Now, I'm not well versed in the true events and don't know if they actually had some involvement in real life, but I think the film was compelling enough without drudging up this extra conflict just for the sake of it. For one thing, the Harvard students ultimately have little impact on the rest of the plot. I feel if you cut them out from the movie altogether, there wouldn't have been much of a difference, and all their inclusion does is just make this mostly breezy movie feel tonally uneven at times. And while this movie wasn't perfect besides them, I've said this before, but not every movie needs to have these grander conflicts in order to feel compelling. Like I said, this mostly works as a celebration of these two people who did something good for their town. It might not be ambitious, but I think had it cut this subplot out and just stayed focused on some of the self-reflecting our two leads do and lean more into its character elements, you'd be able to really excuse said lack of ambition, because then you'd get to really know all these characters beyond them just fitting into these quirky character tropes. And had they just done that, I think we would have gotten a potentially great movie. For what it is, Jerry and Marge Go Large isn't bad, even if it can feel uneven. It's a mostly light, breezy film with a heartwarming feel. Now, the fact it isn't bold or ambitious, its one unnecessary subplot aside, only allows for so many emotional peaks, but Bryan Cranston and Annette are both just a joy to watch, and if you do decide to check this out, they'll be the main reason you'll leave this with a smile. Jerry and Marge Go Large gets a 6 out of 10. So let me know, did you see Jerry and Marge Go Large, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you know anything about this actual story? Is this one of your new favorite Bryan Cranston or Annette movies? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it. And for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone, and keep having fun with film.